Hey, Status Steve, please like and subscribe. Click on the Deck Heroes icon. Click on subscribe. 100% free. Well, apart from Blood in, Blood out. Anyway, this is just This is just fun. Just fun. It's just a player ratings for the England versus Slovakia game yesterday. We were triumphant. We were amazing. Were we? We won 2-1. We won 2-1. Oh my gosh. Goodness knows where these ratings come from, but I'm going to give my own individual ratings starting from Pickford. Pickford's an interesting one in as much as, gosh, man, I don't think he could have done anything about the goal. I don't want to give him blame for that. Listen, in relation to every single rating I give right now, I don't actually blame any of these players for the ratings I'm going to give them. I've got to blame the manager. I've got to blame the manager. He's the kind of guy. So I know we're going off it right from the start, but I have to give that context. These are players excelling in the best leagues around Europe. Very successful within their own teams. High performers. They should be doing better against a team which is ranked 40 places lower. But anyway, so Pickford, I don't think he could have done anything about the goal. It's to do with the system. It's to do with what we were exposed to. It's interesting just watching that game where we're just trying to play out from the back and we just couldn't. There was just no tactics, no play. There's nothing worked out on the training pitch or over the last 12 months which would allow us just to pass the ball once it's our goal kick from the back to midfield beyond any kind of resistance to the front. Just didn't happen, or very rarely happen. I mean, you watched the game yesterday, so Pickford, it's not his fault. That's definitely not his fault. Yeah, I got to give him a 7 out of 10. He blocked what he had to block. He stopped what he had to stop. What he could stop anyway. So yeah, they say 7.1 out of 10. That's probably about right. Listen, I've got to go to Trippier on the left hand side. There was nothing down the left hand side, and again, this comes back to the manager. It comes back to the manager. Had they given him 7, I've got absolutely no idea. Were they giving him 7, or any of the defence 7, or any of the team 7, if we'd have lost that match? And listen, I need to go off again because people said, okay, well, we got through in a knockout competition. Well, yes, we did. But we also want to have some success in the next match. And we've had 4 matches now, and there's been no reason for success. We were in a very weak group. We played 4 teams with 40 odd places below us most of the time, and we have struggled, which shows that our true place is not 4th in the world. It's probably about 40th in the world. And we got some of the best players. These are the shining stars in the toughest league in possibly in the world. Doesn't add up. It's the manager. It's almost like he's trying to tell, just as an example, I know he's not literally doing this. It's almost like he's telling them to play running backwards and expecting the players somehow to perform in a broken system. The system is broken. The manager's too limited to get the best out of the players. And I'm going to come to some of those selections a little bit later. But Trippier can't do anything down the left-hand side with the right foot, apart from pass it inside. And it is not even Trippier's fault as well. It's going to be another player's fault who I love. Because, he plays for my team, a.k.a. Man City, just to put it out there. But he either... Let's go on. I don't want to talk about him right now. I'll talk about it a little bit later. But anyway, Trippier, you get a solid 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. Not entirely your fault. Down to the manager. Gahey. They're giving him a 7.8. I don't want to get down on the kid. He should have had... Listen, all this defence should have had a quiet match against a team that doesn't really want to come out, and they're trying to play on the counter-attack, and they're blocking all those passing routes so they can break on you type thing. He should have had a quiet game, relatively. You know what I mean? As long as we had, as I said, going back to problem number 1, as long as we had a system of play to transition from defence beyond their midfield resistance and somehow get into attacking position and impose that pressure, we never pushed them back. So I guess all these defence had quite a lot to do the whole match. Mostly had the job of passing it to the side and then passing it back and then passing it to Pickford, then getting it back and then passing it to the side. Because again, we could not progress out of defence, and it was embarrassing. And obviously that's a fundamental from a kickoff to not have to boot it into the second half and hope somebody gets on the end of it, because we're a professional football nation. You know, we invented the game. I say we because I'm British, I'm English. You know what I mean? We can't do that. We're meant to be trying to win this thing. All things considered, Gahey is very good and he's very fast and he's very young and he's going to be in that team for a long time and he's going to be a solid rock and he's a star. There's a few mistakes. It wasn't just him. I think John Stones lost the ball a few times with bad control. Anyway, talk about Gahey. I can't give him a 7.8. Nothing glaring wrong. He's solid. He gives me confidence. I'm going to say this, though. I'm going to say this. I'm not in Southgate's head, right? When they're trying to pass that ball out of defence and they know that nobody's showing for the ball for a period of time, Mainu was not just in front of the defence, but he was never in a position to receive the ball from defence. He was literally in the middle of about 4 of their players who were pressuring our back line. Right, and he never showed to receive that ball, and even if he did, it would be a risky ball to play. And if he did get that ball through to him, there's nobody for him to play it onto other than playing it off, which is probably why he didn't really show for it. But given that in mind, it's either that somebody from the front line has got to come up and link up with midfield, or somebody else from midfield has got to link up in order to pass the ball through their lines and all round their lines in order to link up to the attack. So either Pickford's got to knock it long, which is what he ultimately did, or Gahey or Stones or the defensive line had to knock it over that midfield kind of pressure defence or pressure line in order for the attacking players, who are obviously not in defence, not in the middle, they must just be in a line against their defenders trying to push them back. But the defence never had the courage to ping that ball over for our forward players, as they were beyond their midfield, to receive it and then play from there. Well, they rarely did. Gahey gets... Let's give him a 7. Let's be generous. Similar for Stones. Same story for Stones. I just said for Gahey. Stones is a top player. Top player. All the things I said about Gahey apply to him. Never played any of those balls, none that come to mind anyway, which kind of bypassed their midfield. I know it's a long ball, but nobody else was showing, so what else are we going to do? Well, the solution was, what we're going to do is just pay it to Mainu, who plays it back, as I said. That's down to Gareth Southgate, or it's down to a lack of confidence in those players. As I said, they don't want to give the ball away, so it comes straight back, and then they're at fault for giving the ball away. They want to play possessions football. So yes, either down to Southgate or it's down to these players. At the moment, I'm leaning towards Southgate. We got Walker. One of our strongest wings was down the right. Walker doesn't really get a lot of kind of credit for that. It's Saka who gets the credit for that, and everybody else. I don't think he did anything amazing. I don't think he did anything glaring. If I'm going to give Stones and I guess Gahey a 7, especially Stones making a few mistakes, I think he made a few basic passing errors. If he's going to get a 7, then I guess I got to give Walker a 7. So anyway, we're going into the next phase and give Mainu. I really like Mainu. He's good. You've got to remember, he's a kid. How old is he? I think he's about 16 or something silly. Yeah, as I said, in that attacking phase, he could take people on, he would pass it forwards, he was just not overawed in any respect whatsoever. He just felt like he was in safe hands. Not that he is, to me, I don't follow Man United, I'm a Man City fan, I don't follow Man United. At no stage did I feel like it was above him, or as I said, his control was good, everything was good, very, very good. I remember that run into the box, the terror and panic on Slovakia just would have been palpable. It's like, gosh, man, this guy is actually taking it to them, and he draws people in, and next thing you know, there's a bit of energy about our attack, and that was great. I did mention the limitations in defence, that for whatever reason Southgate put him as almost like a lone ship, and I'll talk about Rice in a minute. Goodness knows where Rice was, because it was just the back line, and then it was Mainu, who didn't want to receive the ball. As I said, he was in the middle of a triangle of the opposing players, the Slovakian players, and there's always a player between him and the ball, not him breaking to receive the ball. And again, as I said, even if he did, it would be a trap, because there's 4 players around him to close him down, and there was nobody, aka no Declan Rice. And once he received the ball, nobody was pushing on again to go into space where they could actually receive the ball and play past that resistance. They're just too scared, or just not capable, is one of the two. For Mainu, though, I can't blame him for that. I've got to blame Southgate, so I'm kind of leaning towards. And do you remember that shot that he had just outside the box, outside of the foot? The technique on that was very, very good. I mean, yeah, he didn't hit the target. Obviously, he didn't score because he wasn't one of the scorers, but the talent that was there and the potential that was there. Not everybody, unless we're talking back in the day, Van Basten, I don't think I've seen him miss a target. You know what I mean? Every shot was just high score. Anyway, so for Mainu, a lot of talent. I think I might have to give him an 8. As I say, that not showing from the defence, I think that's something that he was told. You know, when the defence passed it to him occasionally, he just passed it back. I don't think he wanted to do that. I just don't think he had any options, and he gave him about an 8. For Rice, I can only think, as I say, because for me, he disappeared. And the only highlights for him was when we were in attack. I think they might have had a shot just outside the box, and you think, yeah, if there's somebody you want on the on that end of that shot, it's somebody like Rice, who we've seen just time and time again for Arsenal, and before that for West Ham, who can finish those positions because we got those players. But I think he was needed in order to do 2 jobs. One he's meant to be a holding midfielder, as you can see here. To be that holding midfielder, to work with defence and Mainu, so you can solidly pass the ball and retain the ball, and then, you know, you bring your wingers in and you just bring that ball forwards as and when you can. Not to be the missing link who's just AWOL up there being up in attack. I don't think it's his fault, though. I think he's doing what he was told to do, so I'd have to give him a 6. I'm going to give him a 6 for that, definitely. Saka, tricky one. I think he was better than the player he was up against. Is he doing stuff which is terrifying anybody right now? Not for me. Is he doing things where he shows his pace, he shows his intelligence, he shows his creativity, and is of high quality? Yeah. Maybe that 7.4 is probably about right. But I think he's just limited by the system that doesn't get him enough of the ball. As I said, we just pinging that ball around the back line, and occasionally up to Mainu, who's literally just in front of our box a lot of the time, or maybe going as far as the halfway line or towards our halfway line, and then having to come all the way back to Pickford in goal. So yeah, all the front line didn't really get any ball. We keep them focused on the left, which I'll talk about in a minute, but even on the right, which we got the majority of the play, it just wasn't enough. I blame the manager again for that. We haven't seen the best from you. It's down to the system and the tactics. So for that, I don't think you could have done any more. I'm going to give you that 7.4, which is there. I'm going to skip Bellingham for now. I want to go to the left. I support Man City. This is a world-class player in Phil Foden, but look at the shape here. To be honest, it almost was like a 4-1-4-1. I don't believe that Declan Rice was meant to drop in like that, because I hardly ever saw him there. This time, I say, coming out of defence, if he was meant to be holding, then he would be just in front of that defensive line. Didn't see him. Maybe that's after we conceded a goal and we needed to put players forwards. Okay, even if you give that, but you still need to get there. And when that's not working, that's when the manager needs to bring somebody back in order to facilitate it getting, to the forward line and getting past their defence in the midfield. Didn't happen enough. Phil Foden was no part of any solution on the left. He's a left-footed player who's been told to play on the left by the manager. Everybody and his dog knows that he's got to hold that left to give us width. He hasn't done it in 4 games. He just will stubbornly only play in the middle. You've got to get him out. You've got to take him out of that team and put somebody who's willing to play to the plan on the left. And if somebody in the middle is not doing their job, then put him on. Or if either as a direct replacement for Saka or as a sub for Saka, probably typical fashion, either at half-time or 60 minutes in, and have a different look at it. And if Saka's playing amazing first half, leave him on. You know what I mean? So that's what he's got to do. Or he's got to replace a Bellingham. That's what it is. Don't bother playing him on the left. He just will not play his position on the left. That's the one thing I would give Gareth Southgate some credit for, is I believe he has asked this player to play on the left and he just flat out refuses, which leaves us exposed on the left and inadequate down the left. The ball won't get to the left anyway. He won't even get to the middle. But I don't think Foden's doing anything on the left. And even if he was staying on the left, which he's not, there's nothing coming in. There's not one cross coming in from the left-hand side and no danger at all. Down to you, Phil Foden. Jude Bellingham on the middle. He run his little legs off. I mean, again, they're not getting the ball. We had to score once they went ahead. And you need to put the ball. You need to have the ball, then play that ball into the attacking third for us to score. And it just was hardly ever there. When it did get there, it was so slow they could get everybody up beyond the ball, because at that stage they were protecting a lead. And even though they were protecting a lead, they were more likely to score against us. Work that one out. All things considered, I don't blame you again, Bellingham. I've got to blame the manager for not facilitating getting those attacking players the ball well enough, especially at a team which wasn't that interested in attacking. It was just, solid defensive unit, and even then he couldn't do it. If you think about, I don't want to go too far off, but if you watch Spain play yesterday, who obviously another leading nation, that's how you press a team and impose yourself on a team, so they spend all their time with 11 players behind the balls, more or less. And even then, though, with respect to Georgia, they still found a way to break out. So I thought it wouldn't have been 11 players, a good 7, 8. You know what I mean? And the 3 would still be relatively defensive, but, geared to kind of spring, and they got that first goal. Southgate's not giving Bellingham any of that creative freedom at all. He just had to make the best of a moment, and that's why he's world class. I don't blame you at all, Bellingham. I'm looking at him now on the screen. 8.3. My only reservation is, again, how much blame, if I give them extra points because Southgate's making them play less, making them a lesser player in the pitch, where also almost the subs who never come on, almost superstars, because the ones on the pitch aren't performing, but they're not performing because of the manager. And it's like, well, why don't you put these people on? Because they make a massive difference, the subs. Whereas they won't. They just fit into this flawed system that Southgate's put forward. But maybe 8.3 is accurate for you, Bellingham, definitely not more. That was your moment, really. It was an amazing world class overhead kick, which kept us in the competition. Can't take that away. Maybe 8.3 is about right. There's Kane. I can't believe the criticism that Kane's getting again. He's in a broken system. He responded to the criticism from, ex-pros who I agree with, about, whether he's lost a little bit of pace or he's not putting enough effort in or he's dropping too deep. And he's just, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. And he's done something. He's doing all that he can. He is leading the press a lot of the time. And he's dragging all the other players with him. So you're looking around like, listen, if I'm pressing this guy, you can't just give him an easy out. We all need to press as a team. So there is that. And I think he's doing what he can. So he would have got a minimum 7 for me anyway. And he got a goal. Okay, so it wasn't an overhead kick, but he's in the right place. And he buried that ball, which got us through to the next level. So Bellingham's 8.3. Kane's a minimum of an 8. Minimum of an 8. Is it Cole Palmer? I think it's Cole Palmer came on for in a switch around. I do like Cole Palmer, and the reason why I'm mentioning him is because he comes on and he shows his talent. He shows how comfortable he is on the ball. He's got that kind of, yeah, you try and come and pressure me and take the ball away from me, and I'm going to show you my ability to get around that challenge, keep the ball, and I'll be off down the wing. That is exactly what Phil Foden should be doing, and he's capable of doing. But I think he feels like he plays like he feels like he knows his best position. He knows the best way to play the game, which he probably does from the middle, but that's not the role he's got for the team. If Phil Foden did what Cole Palmer does when he comes on, I don't think we would necessarily have a problem down the left because Cole Palmer's shown that it can be done. I made a video not too long ago talking about how Phil Foden doesn't have the pace, basically, like a Saka and the Mbappes of the world, to do that job down the left. Cole Palmer shows that he does. He just needs to have a little bit of that kind of selfless creativity and just adapt your game in order to have an influence by taking people on and creating space or just having clever runs. Doesn't always have to be a run from the middle going forwards, challenging the defence, which I think Foden loves doing. And that was it. So if I'm going to give a performance for the team overall, just because of the massive periods where we just couldn't play football, I'm leaning towards a 4.5, about 4.5. But because we actually got through, still don't want to give him too much credit for that. It's just 2 moments. And we're going to struggle against Switzerland in the next phase if things aren't fixed. So just this game in isolation, 5.5, just for getting through. Slovakia hard done by. They were the better team. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts. I was speaking to people at my work today just about this game, and it's amazing how deflated we feel as England fans, even though we've won. You know what I mean? I think everybody who watched that game just knows exactly where we're coming from, and I don't believe there's any other teams left in that last 8 in the quarterfinals or ever come into the quarterfinals if they're playing us being England, who wouldn't have supreme confidence that they know how to beat us. And if they went ahead, that we were very unlikely to have the know-how. Can you believe that? Wouldn't have the know-how or the ability or there's just flaws there, which means we were very unlikely to get back in and they can control us and control the game and feel very confident. And that's why we all feel a little bit deflated right now and still have a lot of doubts about Southgate as a manager, not as a man. As a man, he's awesome, and we just want to win. Anyway, please like, subscribe, give me your thoughts in the comments. and the player reviews, player overall, what you thought of the game, how you feeling. Please like, subscribe, then Steve, and I'm out.